The best managerial rivalry in the league took centre stage as Jurgen Klopp's Reds went to the Etihad and got a draw against Guardiola's Citizens thanks to goals by Haaland and Trent, though the XG does show that City created more. Let's not waste any time and get straight into the tactics, beginning with City on the ball. As we've often seen, Pep built with a back three consisting of Diaz, Ake and Walker. However, unlike recent weeks where this back three has been spread out super wide, they were slightly more compact in the build-up stages. With Akanji playing in the pivot role alongside Rodri, Liverpool knew how important it was to protect the centre, as all sides do. And when they were successful in doing this, it was when they were looking to be more passive off of the ball. Often with Núñez starting deeper using his cover shadow, whilst one of the 8s, in Jones or Szoboszlai, would push higher up the pitch, so that there was effectively a 4 versus 4 in the first phase. This would allow Liverpool's wingers to stay wider, ready to confront Ake and Walker if Diaz did choose to go wide initially. And this pressure could then force City backwards, slowing down their progression up the pitch. But the thing is, for most of the match, City were able to play through the centre fairly easily against Liverpool. So how exactly did they manage this? There were a few different methods, but one of them was getting Ederson to effectively operate as a 4th centre-back in this first phase of build-up. Ederson would be patient on the ball, not playing until he was under pressure, and this often involved baiting one of Núñez or Jones, and at times even Szoboszlai, higher up into the press against him. So now where before it was a 4 versus 4 in the midfield, if the presser's cover shadow wasn't absolutely perfect, one of the pivots would always be free depending on who had committed to the press between Szoboszlai and Jones. And even under pressure, a pivot could initially receive, then look to wall pass it into his teammate, and suddenly City were away and playing up the pitch with an advantage in the midfield. The question may be why Liverpool didn't look to counteract this by committing both of their pivots to the press. Well, firstly, it would leave McAllister 2 versus 1 down, and we saw that Ederson's excellent penetrating passes could find one of the midfielders higher up the pitch, and all of a sudden most of Liverpool's defence had been bypassed with a single pass and City were running at the back line. But even without getting Ederson involved in the play, City could still have success playing through the centre, and the intelligence and sheer ball-playing ability of Bernardo Silva was key to this. In situations where Núñez was pressing higher, we could see City stagger their pivots, with Rodri often looking to drop deeper than Akanji to receive the first pass, and this would draw Jones higher up the pitch, meaning that Alvarez would potentially have space in this region, making it important for McAllister to keep one eye on him. But the problem that had now been created was a 2 versus 1 against Szoboszlai higher up the pitch. And what we often saw is that if Akanji dropped deeper and Szoboszlai looked to remain tight on him, Bernardo Silva picked up this room between the defence and the midfield intelligently time and again, and would be able to receive the ball, and then suddenly there was a 2 versus 1 against Trent as he was receiving support from Doku on the outside. It would be risky for Matip to look to close him down due to the pace of Doku, who could potentially exploit that space, whilst Haaland himself is also quick enough to look to make that same run if Matip overcommitted. But at times, if Jones and Szoboszlai had pressed effectively, it would be difficult to find Silva with a direct pass or a chip ball. City still had ways around this press, as these would be the situations where Ake would be found and Salah would be looking to press him early on. Once again, Bernardo Silva spotted the opportunity, and he would be comfortable dropping all the way deep and wide almost as a left back to receive outside of Salah, and once again try and create that 2 versus 1 against Trent. And as we've seen over the last few weeks, the combination of Bernardo Silva and Doku out on the left is extremely dangerous, as if the defender looks to go too tight on Doku, Silva is always making these half-space runs to look to get onto the ball. But as we know, Doku is more than happy to take on the responsibility in these 1-versus-1 situations, and he was a menace in this match, attempting an incredible 15 dribbles and completing 11, tying a record. This was doubled up by 4 key passes, which was the most in the match, and whenever he got past Trent and hit the byline, he would look for the low crosses between the keeper and the centre-back, although the combination of Matip and Alisson were able to deal with that fairly well throughout the match. Alternatively, he would look for the pullback either to Silva or Alvarez, both of whom would be attacking this space if the midfielders hadn't recovered, and this did lead to a lot of danger. We also saw this left-sided build-up present the opportunity for an overload down the left-hand side, which would drag Liverpool towards Silva and Doku, freeing up a potential switch to Foden, often from Rodri, or if Foden tucked in as well, Walker was more than happy to make the late run for Rodri to look for his trademark chip ball to Walker on the overlap. So as expected, these 3 players had most of the ball during this match, but what was unexpected was Doku having 89 touches, which is incredible for a winger. So with Bernardo Silva's positioning being a problem, we saw Salah begin to defend slightly narrower, even when Liverpool were higher up the pitch, as he looked to use his cover shadow to prevent the pass into Silva. However, without enough pressure on the ball, City's men would still be able to find penetrating passes to get past this Liverpool midfield. Despite all of this, Liverpool still looked extremely dangerous on the transition. In the high phase, City's possession shape often looked like this, with both Akanji and Rodri being found extremely high up the pitch, and their back 3 now operating slightly wider, with Walker at times even looking to overlap Foden. What this left was a gaping hole between the defence and the midfield that Liverpool would look to take advantage of on the break. From this deep compact 4-3-3, on the transition they had success, particularly if they looked to go wide first. This was because they had the potential of drawing Rodri out of this central position on the break, creating more room. At the same time, Akanji wasn't focused on preventing the transition from beginning in the first place. Instead, he was looking to drop back into his centre-back position, and that meant that there was always room created when Liverpool went wide and then looked to play centrally. And we saw the likes of Nunes, Salah, Jota and Diaz when he came on, getting into extremely dangerous positions and running at the City centre-backs fairly easily. However, they couldn't make the most of it. Liverpool did have less possession, but what did they do with their controlled possession? Liverpool often formed a box of their own, with Trent looking to invert alongside McAllister, allowing Szoboszlai and Jones to take up the higher positions. Where during goal kicks we saw Haaland being much more willing to press. In open play, due to this midfield 4 of Liverpool's, he was much more passive, either dropping onto Trent if Alvarez was looking to press alongside him, or moving onto McAllister, allowing Silva to then take up the position on Trent. And without a man to defend wide, we often saw the responsibility of pressing the centre-backs fall onto Doku, who would either be the sole presser or be joined by Haaland in these situations as they tried to force Liverpool backwards. This would look like a fairly decent shape. However, Szoboszlai would push right up into the half space, looking to create a 2-versus-1 against Ake at left back. And this, paired with Matip's ball-carrying ability, or Van Dijk looking for the immediate switch, would cause several problems for Manchester City. Often, this would be in the shape of Salah dropping fairly deep to pick up the ball in these regions, and that would draw Ake higher up the pitch. Rodri often wouldn't track the run of Szoboszlai, and he consistently made these half-space runs, looking for the pass from Salah. Alternatively, if he didn't get onto the ball and Akanji was looking to cover, all of a sudden, the Liverpool attacking shape had disoriented City's back 4, creating room and potential gaps for the Reds to play into. And we often saw Jota looking to arrive on the back post when these situations presented themselves. Overall though, Liverpool will be delighted with the away point, keeping them neck and neck with the Citizens despite not being at their absolute best. For the manager tactical scores, I do believe City was slightly unlucky not to win the encounter, dominating in possession in particular, meaning that Pep earns a 7.5 whilst Klopp earns a 6. but drop your ratings down below and anything else you noticed. If you're looking for another video to watch, check out this one, taking a closer, tactical look at Ronaldo's most iconic Champions League performance.